Okay, in the last chapter, we are going to talk about top-down design in ZW3D. In this chapter, I'm going to introduce you a standard workflow in ZW3D to do the top-down design. Use the U-disk as an example to show you. The steps are as below. So step 1, you need to design the skeleton, which is the outline of the U-disk. And step 2, we need to divide the skeleton into several parts. And there are some sub-steps which we will cover later in the software. And step 3, we need to do the detailed design one by one. And the last step is assemble all the parts together. Okay, later I will show you this case in ZW3D. And finally, I'm going to show you assembly feature. Use this kind of tools, we can create assembly cut, assembly hole, assembly fillet, and also assembly chamfer. And you can decide whether to propagate to part level. Okay, now let's move over to ZW3D to show you more details. Okay, next I'll show you how to create top-down design in ZW3D. Okay, here we have the skeleton part, and we also have the divisional surfaces. Okay, so the next step will be divide the skeleton into 3 parts: the upper shell, the bottom shell, and also the lid. Okay, we use the divide command. Select the skeleton and the cutter. We use this one and divide. Okay, here you can see we have divided into 2 parts, and then we do it one more time. Divide, cutter. Okay. Okay, now you can see we have 3 parts. Okay. So the next step will be we publish the geometry. Here we can publish from the data exchange tab. Data exchange and the publish set. So first we publish the lid. Okay. And then we rename it like lid part. Okay. And then we publish the upper shell. And rename it upper shell. Okay, then we do it again. Publish the bottom one. Bottom shell. Okay. Now we can create a new assembly. We can name it like U-disk or U-driver, as you like. Okay, and next we can insert the skeleton. Insert skeleton, and then we put it in the default frame. Okay, and then next we can insert a new part. New to insert. Okay. Okay. We can give it a name like upper shell. Okay. Okay, then we need to copy the geometry from the skeleton. We use the external geometry copy command. Okay, and we can copy the upper, this one, and okay, we can select to auto update or manual update. Okay, and then we go back and we insert another new one, which is the bottom shell. Okay, and also we do the same thing. Copy the published set, which is the bottom. Okay, and go back, insert, new to insert, lid. And we still copy it. Okay. Now we can activate the top assembly, update it. And now you can see we actually have the upper shell, bottom shell, and the lid. And then now actually we can hide the skeleton. Okay, then we get the 3 components, and then we can activate them and do the detailed design. For example, upper shell, we can something like add the shell and open. Okay, and then you can do more detailed design like the fillet, chamfer, and some other structure you can add it. So I will not go very further here because this is all about the modeling functions. Okay, and also for the bottom shell, we can do the same thing, like a shell and more detailed design, like fillet chamfer, as I said before. Okay, and we repeat it, shell. Okay, now it's done. We can region it. Okay, now actually we can hide this one to show the lower one. Okay, I'll hide this one and unblank this one. And of course, you need to make more detailed design to make the real product. But it's not the thing we are going to do in this tutorial. Okay. So this is a basic case for how to make the top-down design. Okay. Okay, last I'll show you the assembly features, which are assembly cut, assembly hole, assembly fillet, and assembly chamfer. And you can decide the feature only in assembly level or propagate to part level. Okay, first one is assembly cut, which means we can use one component as the cutter to remove material from another component. Take this base plate as an example. Actually, you can see there's no hole to fit the spindle in, right? So we can use the assembly cut. Okay, we click on it, and the cutter, we use the spindle. And for the component, we choose the base plate. And you can choose whether to propagate the feature to component, as I mentioned before. Here we can check it. Okay, now we can only show it and see. Okay, this hole is created, and we can double click to check the modeling history of this part. And you can see there is an assembly cut feature here. And another one is assembly hole. We can insert the hole for multi-components. For example, here we use the threaded hole, and we decide the location, and we decide which component to add the hole. It's 3, and OK. And also you can decide whether to propagate the feature to components. Okay, here we uncheck it. Let's see the difference. Okay, now you can see the hole is already in the assembly level. Okay, but when we double click it, and actually you can see there is no hole feature here, just the assembly cut we just created, right? Okay, because we do not propagate. Okay. And for assembly fillet, it's similar to use as the shape fillet. Okay, we select the edge, and we select the radius, and click OK. We can get a result. And the same, you can decide whether to propagate to the components. Okay. And the chamfer is the same. I'm not going to repeat it. Okay, this is all for the assembly features.